Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty. This is the latest show from HBO, and it feels very HBO. You know, it's got like that big prestigious format of big characters and actors and a director like Adam McKay who helped usher this thing into existence with his producing. It feels very HBO. And it shouldn't be a shock to anybody who has seen this channel extensively that I know very little about the world of sports. I shouldn't say little. I know enough. I could get by in any conversation about any sport, really. I don't know a lot about the NBA. I don't really have an interest in that sport in particular. Basketball was never something that struck with me when I, started to get into stuff. It's still cool. I respect the sport. I respect the people that play it and the people that follow it and all the events to that. I get it. I'm a nerd for movies and comic books. People are nerds for sports. I completely get it. There is no difference. Do what you do, like you not. So I don't know the history behind every major event in sports or the personal history of the people involved in certain things. So all I know about this story is what I'm being told on screen. I have seen reports and multiple people coming out saying this is inaccurate and not exactly what happened. Okay. If that's true, I get it. This is that kind of show where it's a biopic, where it's a story based on real events, where we're going to, over-dramatize certain events to make things look cooler or more interesting for television. I get that. There's been a couple of these that came out this year. I haven't liked some of the bigger ones in particular, but for some reason, I don't really know why, because again, I'm not super into the Lakers, I don't really care about basketball, and I haven't been sold on a few of the most recent Adam McKay events. Some reason this one worked for me really well. I think the story was pretty well paced. There was a few issues here and there, but of course there's going to be. You can't escape pacing issues when you're talking about real life people. That's just how it goes because real life is boring. So that's fine by me. But I liked everywhere we went. First off, one of the most important things about the show, in my opinion, is the inclusion or the use of the film grain, because this is a story that takes place in pretty much like the 70s to early 80s. That is a trope that should be used more often when you are talking about events this time period. Make the show look like it's in that time period, not just, like the set design and the costume design, but if you're going to take place in that time, do some camera work that looks like it. It's got like really fast-paced, quick-angle shots that I just enjoy seeing, and that film grain really helps it have that certain distinguishes to us. There's certain moments too where just like that film pop, like that classic pop where the sparks come on screen. You know exactly what I mean, like that bubble that appears. I really like it. It looks like it's an old home movie, and I think that's exactly the feel this wanted to go for, and did a great job of doing that. It just adds something extra to make it a little more special, and that's what this kind of project needs, because if it's just a simple basketball story, we've seen that a million times. But if you are doing that, where it's a little more compelling, if you are breaking the fourth wall of some of the characters talking directly to camera, you are doing that little extra thing to make it just a little bit more compelling than other biopics in the genre. And I respect that a lot. So like I said, I don't know the story. I don't really care that much about like the history of the Lakers or anything. All I know is this guy named Jerry Buss shows up. He's like, I bought the team. We're going to make this great. Blackjack and hookers, baby. It's going to be Hollywood. Come to basketball. And he's like, I know I got to build my ultimate team. I got to get all these people and these players to come together. Well, behind the scenes, his life is falling apart. Dramatized, of course it is. And that's fine. You have to do that for a show like this. I will not complain about that in the slightest. I get that completely. It is actually very fascinating. Like I said, it could all be fake, but this Jerry Buss guy, he's an interesting character. John C. Reilly doing a really good transformation from what he usually does. And when I see John C. Reilly, my first thought is never like arrogance, it's just humble. And when he can snap into that arrogant role, it feels really cool. It's very much a role he is accustomed to, but it's just flipped on the head a little bit, where suddenly it started being like this really like sexual predator kind of guy, where he's going about, he is popular, he is beloved, he's like this aura of Hollywood, aura of the Lakers, just walking about doing all this stuff. He does a great job portraying that. He's a great character, and seeing him just like fit into this world perfectly is very good. I'd love to know what they did with his hair, because that's insane. That's some insane comb over stuff. They're working their magic there, but it's very impressive. And there is the stuff with the players too. Again, I don't know the personal history of the players, But the other kind of like main character in this is Magic Johnson. And if you are anybody who knows anything about anything, you know Magic Johnson. You have to know the name. If you don't, you're living under a rock. The guy is very important, not just to the world of sports, but to literally business everywhere. He's a smart guy who knew exactly what he was doing. Quincy Isaiah plays him in here, and he's doing pretty good. I'm not too familiar with his work, but what he's doing here is very impressive. It's just giving exactly what you'd want from a Magic Johnson portrayal, and you buy it completely. The rest of the team, there are some great stands in there. The actor who is playing Kareem, very good. He gets an episode that kind of focuses on his journey a little bit, and especially in this world when he sees the way Magic is acting, he's like, you are presenting an entire culture when you come out here. Maybe try to have a little more reverence for what you are doing. That's a great moment. It's a great use of that character. I just really like that, seeing that. All the other supporting characters are great. Haywood's just great in here. Seeing that Norm Nixon did some interesting stuff. I don't know anything about these players in the real life, but hey, you're building a really great chemistry with them on this playing field. I like that. But honestly, probably my favorite storyline is the stuff with the coaches and the stuff with everybody in there. So Jason Clarke plays Jerry West, who was the previous coach of the Lakers before like their kind of like rise to fame in the 80s, when you see guys like Jack McKinney take over and Pat Riley who would eventually take over. And it's played by Jason Clarke, and he's doing some wonders here. Again, I don't know anything about West in real life, but I love the way he's just so gruff and angry at every turn, and I just love the way these old guys just can't escape coming back to the game. I really like seeing that. McKinney is such a fascinating character, literally kind of just like analyzing every little thing about stuff. You definitely see his like style of like coaching and his style of management become more prominent in the future, because, you know, I think like his stuff, the McKinney stuff really reminded me of Moneyball, which is another sport movie that is kind of like focused on like the statistical side of baseball. Seeing that was really cool. Like, that's the stuff I like more about the sport, just seeing like how you can statistically make the perfect team do all these different things and who plays off each other best. I think that's really fascinating. He did really great in there. I really like Adrian Brody as Pat Riley. I think this guy is going to become famous in the world of Lakers very soon, and you just see like his rise to fame is very impressive. And again, it's the rise of the Lakers dynasty. Everyone's going to come out on top eventually. There is going to be their hardships, but they will all get there at the end. And yeah, it makes sense to me. I don't hate that that's going to happen. It makes sense to me. I can get behind all of that. I am enjoying what we are seeing here, and it's building a very compelling world. You know, just like the stories are fun. The actors are having a great time. Everything seems loose and free. It feels very just classically Hollywood, which is, I think, the feel it's trying to go for. It is also very Big Short, where it's like we're going to talk about a thing while we're talking about a thing while we're doing another thing. It's working really well, and you're never bored. As somebody who couldn't really care about the NBA in any capacity, this show really surprised me. It took itself very seriously, which is exactly what it needed to do. It also knew to have fun, be loose, show you the interpreting sides of these characters. Well, maybe not always truthful. It still makes for great television to see these kind of characters who you know are real people doing this thing to make the sport better, to make it more interesting, to really show you what a team can do. I love the subtlety that it starts to build up for the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird stuff. If we get a second season, I hope that kind of stuff is explored more. It's very fascinating. It's really interesting. I am really liking what this show did, and it's proven itself to be a very compelling sports show, which is not something we see a lot of anymore, you know? They're always just like fake, you know, where it's just like, oh, we're the losing team, we're the underdogs, and suddenly we win with Rob Lowe in it. There's always, or John Stamos, one of those guys is always in one of those. And then it's like, yeah, let's actually tell a story like this, because it could be kind of fun. I'm digging that a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if this became like an anthology thing and we'd see more seasons based on different sports and building up its own empire. That would be kind of cool to see, actually, because I could think of a couple from Canada that could be worth checking out. But I really liked this show. I think it's worth a watch. So, Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, Season number 1. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. And thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.